Is this thing on? Good job for clicking on this video today. I've got some really exciting things to share with you, so don't miss out. Stick around to the end. My name's Dan. This is the Vegan Food at Home YouTube channel. If you haven't met me before, welcome. But actually today isn't about me necessarily, it's more about you guys out there. For any of you that know the Gillingham Street Angels, you'll know that they're a fantastic charity from Kent who are working extremely hard to support low-income families, homeless individuals, and anyone really that needs a helping hand in their life. They offer services, things like furniture, and the main part of their charity is to offer free food to people that perhaps can't afford it for themselves. With the year that we've had, and coming especially into these winter months, it is quite a scary time for some people. And what I'm doing with these videos is trying to uplift those spirits and actually get you really excited about cooking and making food. And I'm really excited to take this journey with you. So like I said before, this video series is going to be focusing on budget meals and cheaper food. But obviously we're not going to be cutting any corners when it comes to flavors and tastes. Our food is still going to be just as incredible, and I'm going to show you how to do those things. Specifically today on this video, I'm actually going to show you more utensils, really. I'm going to give you a little bit of an insight to some of the things that I have in my cupboard at home, and in the later videos we're going to show you some delicious recipes. Now, if you're already finding value from this video, give me a comment and let me know what you think. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, it's probably a fantastic time to do that because you'll make sure that you don't miss any of these videos. Hit the notification bell, and of course, these all will be posted within the Eat Project Facebook group as well. So like the Facebook group and make sure that you don't miss out on any of those delicious recipes to come. So let's talk about saucepans. What saucepans do you have at home? I think the vital ones are a small saucepan for anything smaller like a gravy, or maybe when you're heating your baked beans, and then a larger saucepan for when you want to do a big stew, you want to do a big pasta sauce and mix it around and have the lid to store it. You can also do steaming veg with the colander in the top. You can steam some nice veg in here and create a little kind of steam room going on. That's a fantastic idea. I definitely recommend having two sizes of saucepan if you have the space and you have the budget. And when it comes to frying pans, it might be a little bit different. You could probably get away with just having a large frying pan. Now obviously a frying pan is designed to be a little bit thicker than your normal saucepan. You absolutely can pan fry your vegetables in the bottom with some oil, but normally you'll find that the saucepan material is a little bit thinner, so it won't withstand as high heats. It might stain a little bit easier and it might not last as long. So with a nice weighted saucepan like this, especially that comes with a lid for if you're storing your food, maybe having it cool down before you store it in the fridge. But this is fantastic because it enables you to do a very large portion of something, and then obviously at the same time you can fry something that's a little bit smaller as well. What can be a good idea is just to get one or two baking sheets, whether it's a baking tray like this, or whether you just get the flat baking sheets. It's up to you. Maybe one, maybe two would be ideal. And it also depends on your oven size as well. I really don't think that there's much need for you to have 7 or 8 baking sheets if you only have one door to your oven. So something to think about. Let's run through these utensils very quickly. I'm gonna go left to right. So I've got here the rolling pin, not necessary unless you're doing baking. You've got some pincers here. This is one of my key things, the vital things in my kitchen. Stops you burning your thumbs, and it's great. It's great for serving salads. It's also great for cooking if you're pan frying as well. You've also got the whisk. Now again, it's only great for baking and kind of mixing sauces from time to time, but actually a lot of the time I just use this rubber spatula here. It's great to get all the sauce off the edges of your bowl, and actually it acts as a great whisk as well. And if you do struggle, you can use a fork. So I wouldn't say that's a vital ingredient for your kitchen, but if you do a lot of baking, you might find that it is. We've also got some peelers as well. When it comes to Sunday roast, you might find you want to peel some potatoes or something like that. So that would probably be a key ingredient in your kitchen. Wooden spoons, this is something that I really recommend over your silicone or plastic ones that might burn or break over time. Wooden spoons will last fantastically. I've also got here a ladle as well. Now, you can get away with just having a spoon in your kitchen, but something that's really great in the winter is making soups and stews and that sort of thing. So I find this ladle is really great for serving. These are only cheap, so that's another suggestion. I've also got things here like brushes for when you're brushing on oils. We've got lemon squeezers, we've got measuring cups, we've got graters. I actually found this really cheap grater from IKEA, I believe. And what you can do is you just grate your vegan cheese or you grate your carrot, and then it stores inside the tub, which is quite nice. Also in my kitchen, I really enjoy using this really fine grater here. This is great for ginger and garlic and that sort of thing. This isn't something that's vital, and these are quite expensive, but I use it a lot for my videos. If you don't find that you use small graters or lemon squeezers, things like that, I would just miss them out, because at the end of the day, if you're just using lemons periodically or you want to grate ginger every so often, this might be a luxury that you just don't need. Same with knife sharpeners. If you want to buy yourselves some knives and you want to keep them sharp, absolutely go for it. But if you don't actually use them too often, and if you just look after them by not cutting on plates or anything like that, you might not need a knife sharpener. One thing I do recommend if you like baking or if you like kind of following recipes at all is either getting yourself a set of scales or a nice set of measuring cups, because what that will do, that will enable you to keep nice and consistent with your food and also create your own recipes yourself, which is quite nice. Having both of those might be a bit of a luxury. At the end of the day, you can find recipes that give either cups or gram measurements, so that's fine. You've also got here the sieve as well. So if you want to use a sieve for baking or you want to use it to strain your pasta, it's a kind of multi-use tool as well. I'd recommend having one of those if you can. The final thing I'm going to discuss is knives. Now, I know this is a bit of a scary thing when it comes to kitchen and home cooking, but I really recommend, if you have one knife in your kitchen, make it a big one like this. If you want to pair it up with something else, have a tiny one. The tiny one will be great if you want to be a little bit more careful with delicate fruits and foods, and then the big, hefty, heavy one is going to enable you to chop through like an axe those potatoes and pumpkins and that sort of thing. The great thing about heavy knives is they do have big handles where you can grasp the blade for a bit more strength, or if you are strong enough, you can just really grip that handle using the weight of this blade to just go powerfully through pumpkins, and especially some of those winter veggies as well. They tend to be a little bit harder. You do have skinnier, longer knives like this that might kind of please some more people. They are lighter, but I find because they are lighter, it's a little bit harder to use. The one thing that these are more designed for as well is to, I believe, cut things like fish and meat, but obviously in vegan cooking, you won't necessarily need a knife like this, in my personal opinion. The other thing you can have is a bread knife as well. Now, bread knives aren't vital things to have in your kitchen, but if you do a lot of bread baking yourself, you might find this to be a handy tool. You can actually get smaller serrated knives. They look like small bread knives, like here. If you wanted to switch up and maybe not have your smaller knife and one of these either, you could always buy yourself a nice sharp serrated knife and just have this and a large chopping knife. And I think those two, in fact, those two for me are probably the winners, absolutely. Big knife, big vegetables, small knife for everything else, your breads, your delicates. Tomatoes especially, really hard to chop, might struggle with that. So play around, see what you've got in your drawer already before you go out and buy a ton of knives, and leave a comment down below if you have any questions about knives. And hopefully if you follow the rest of the videos to come, you'll see some tips on how to chop certain vegetables. And also if you watch my previous videos, there should be lots of information in there helping you out. I hope all of that information was really handy for you guys. Some of you out there might be thinking, why is this guy teaching me about pots and pans and utensils? But you have to remember, some of you out there might not have some of these things in your kitchen, and it is a bit daunting sometimes when you don't have the right equipment, but then at the same time, you're not sure which things you actually need. Moving on to oils, salts, condiments, peppers, and that sort of thing. I'm just gonna quickly rush through some of the things that I do not use, and then some of the things that I do use. So when it comes to cooking, I make sure that when I'm placing oil into that saucepan, I make sure to heat the saucepan up a fair bit and then place in that oil, and then pretty immediately afterwards place in my vegetables or whatever I'm frying. Now you have to make sure that you're not cooking on very, very high temperatures, especially if you're trying to fry with something like olive oil. I would actually avoid frying with olive oil and opt to use something more like rapeseed oil or something like sunflower oil, and even coconut oil, which is more expensive. All of these three have a higher burning point, which means they withstand the heat of the pan a little bit more, and you do avoid burning the oil, and burning oil just leads to unhealthiness and some really nasty things. So you want to make sure you're not burning your oil when overcooking your oil when you're heating it, and one of those things that will help is using the correct oil. Now the reason I say use these ones and not the extra virgin olive oil is, like I said, with the higher burning points, oils like extra virgin olive oil actually have lower burning points. So you will find that things like this, they're a little bit more delicate and they will burn. And actually the nutrition that you might find in something like extra virgin olive oil will be taken away once you cook it. So I recommend using extra virgin olive oil and oils a little bit more delicate like that on your salads and garnishes on top once you've served your food, and then you can use your other oils to actually cook with and roast with and that sort of thing. Alternatively, if you want to limit your spending on oil, and also you want to limit the oil that you're using in your food for health reasons, you can get something like a spray. So these are 1 calorie rapeseed oil sprays. This is actually a great way to cook. You really limit the amount of oil that you're putting on. It's not so good for roasting, but stuff like pan frying, this is fantastic. You ensure that not too much oil comes out of the bottle when you pour it, because it's a handy little spray. These other few things that I like to chuck onto my food, things like apple cider vinegar, that will enable you to deglaze a pan, that will enable you to flavour a salad dressing. There's lots of things that that's handy for, and actually you find in vegan cooking, apple cider vinegar comes up quite a lot. There are a lot of health benefits. If you wanted to check those out online and just do a bit of Googling, that's great to have in your pantry. And the other two things I really like, if you want some of that smoky goodness, this isn't cheap, this is a luxury product, but this is liquid smoke. This makes your food smoky, it makes it taste like bacon, and for some people they do want to have that smoky barbecue flavour without having to use a sugary barbecue sauce. So great product, like I said, luxury, but if you can afford it, go for it, it will last a long time. And mustard as well. Mustard is the key ingredient in this kitchen. We use this in salad dressings. I use this to flavour, if I make a mac and cheese sauce, I use this in a lot of things. So mustard is a key ingredient. Salts. So this is the last thing that I'm going to be talking about. So when it comes to salt, there's many different varieties. I've got some smoked salt here, which is nice. I've also got some pink Himalayan salt, which has a lot of health benefits. Check them out. They are really, really great for you. We've also got table salt. Now, I make sure that when we use table salt, it's iodized. You want to limit the amount of table salt that you are using, but it is great to get some of that iodine that you get from the salt within your body. So check that out. That health benefit is also good for you as well. And the other thing, this Malden, the local sea salt, I use this in all my food, and I use this by the massive pinch. The reason I use a lot of sea salt compared to table salt is because you can technically put more salt in your food and it be healthier for you. This is a natural salt. This hasn't been processed as much as this, and this is great because the flavour of the salt is a little bit less because the grains are larger and it doesn't disperse into your food as much. This is also great for garnishing, not only for the look, that kind of crusty look of salt, but also that real flavour of fresh salt. When you're pan frying something, I sometimes take those out into the pan and just season them with salt to allow that to crisp up a little bit more. Say you're making some crumbed seitan or something like that. Sea salt is an absolute must. Make sure you're getting enough salt in your diet, but if you do eat a lot of processed foods or if you eat a lot of ready meals, just make sure that you read the packaging and you try not to go over your daily limits of salt. I believe it's close to 6 grams recommended daily allowance, but check those facts out online yourself and make sure that you're not eating too much salt in a day. Humans have evolved to like the taste of salt because we do require a lot of the vital minerals inside of it, but obviously everybody does like salty food, sometimes a little bit too much, so just be careful. And the final thing I've got here is black pepper. Now, I recommend, if you don't want to go for powdered pepper because you don't like the taste, get yourself a box of bulk black peppercorns. These are going to last you a long time. You can either use these in a grinder or you can use these in a pestle and mortar like this. Now, the great thing about using cracked black pepper is it's really fresh. It's got some great health benefits. It's just really tasty compared to your powdered pepper. And the great thing about buying in bulk is it means that you save considerably. If you buy those silly little packs of herbs or spices, they tend to be quite expensive. You might be able to find things like this periodically from your food banks or from the Gillingham Street Angels. Hopefully things like this will become a lot more available in the future. Thanks again for joining me on this video today. I've really enjoyed bringing you all of this information. I do apologize if you know this stuff already, but I did think it was quite important for some of the people out there to hear some real basics when it comes to cooking and see it in quite an organic way and really see somebody like me who makes a lot of food videos, what I find are the vital ingredients and what ingredients and what utensils might be a little bit more luxury and unnecessary in a regular family kitchen. At the end of this video, like, comment and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. But more importantly, head on to the Gillingham Street Angels Facebook page, like and share all of their stuff and just see what they've been up to in the last few years, helping homeless and low-income people to really get back on their feet. Every week they're giving so much food away, and it's amazing what the supermarkets and different companies want to give away, but with the help of Gillingham Street Angels, they're making sure that that food just isn't going to landfill. It's going into the mouths and into the cupboards of people that really require it, especially during this year where we've had so many issues with COVID-19, etc. Now make sure as well, when you're on their Facebook page, you head on to the Eat Project Facebook page if you haven't liked and seen that already. There's some really exciting things going to be on there, as well as my series of videos here. Stay safe. Contact me if you have any questions about this video or any of the ones that are coming up, and I really look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks very much, and don't forget to check out Gillingham Street Angels. See you later.